What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone, and welcome back to Vlahovic staying at the club. Yeah, you heard that correctly. There is apparently a crazy scenario where the club is like, you know what, you can stay for two reasons. One, the financial aspect of his wages, a potential transfer fee, and two, the options out there we are looking for are way too expensive, slash we cannot compete with other clubs who are in for those players, most definitely the Premier League squads who can offer more wages. That's kind of the issue. Now, before we get into it, as always, smash the like button. It's a Friday ahead of probably a slow weekend, but smash the like button. Let's get to at least 100 likes. That does actually miracles for the channel and the video. And yeah, let's talk about the, I would say, actually shocking news when it comes to Vlahovic. Okay, so the news is from Gazzetta dello Sport. And before you say, oh, it's a Gazzetta, it's actually been out there floating through, I think, if you watch podcasts and you listen to journalists, that feeling is not completely gone, apparently. And Gazzetta dello Sport are saying, or part what they're saying is saying that we might extend his contract, if he agrees to lower his wages below the 10 million euros, because he's on 10 million euros now. Actually, he's a bit more. And next season, it will be 12 million euros because that was part of the contract negotiations back then. Now, what they're also saying in the article is that the club might opt for that solution option because the clubs who are in the race for Vlahovic are offering peanuts. That's one. And two, the players we want, potentially, Gyökeres, Sesko, Osimhen, cost a lot of money. And on top of that, the teams in for those players, Arsenal, Man U, Chelsea, can offer these players way more when it comes to wages. Even Galatasaray, because they have one player on ridiculous wages, a couple on okay wages, and a lot of them on very cheap wages. So they can spend that money on one player. We cannot do that right now. Those are all those things. I'm here to say that that cannot happen. And people who have been on this channel since day one, or since we signed Vlahovic, know I'm probably one of those people who defended him the most, to a point where even you guys were saying you're making excuses now for him. And you might be right, because I still like Vlahovic, and I like Vlahovic. However, he cannot stay. We are a bad start to the season away for it to become toxic with the fans. He lost it once. Remember the Curva Sud? Didn't clap. Like, he called them off, and then it was kind of all messy, and then whatever, and then they apologized, etc. I see that bubble burst again, and there's no way back from that. It got actually so quote unquote bad that he was fit towards the end of the season, and even Tudor, who adores Vlahovic, was like, "No, I'm gonna play Colomani or whatever." It got to that point. That's also extremely telling when the coach who actually loves you is like, "I cannot play you. I cannot play you," and that's not gonna change overnight. For his own sake, for his own career, for the club's career, for Juve, for everyone involved, when it comes to Juve, it's beneficial that this is the end, that he goes his own way and we go our own way. And that doesn't mean he goes somewhere else and he does fantastic and we're like, oh my God, we should have kept him. It's not working out. And it can happen in football. At times, it doesn't work out at one team. That's why there are transfer windows. A lot of the time, players who are not really performing at one team go to another team and they perform. Or they've performed at one team, make the move, it doesn't happen at that club, they move on again and they go back to their old level. That's perfectly normal in football. We reach that point where we need to move on. We need better, he needs better for his own sake. Because right now, I think it's a complete mental block. And if he stays, he probably will have a good patch at the start and then he will dip again. He will do that because he kind of had that this season already. kind of started off pretty good, and then it went all to, you know what? I don't want to say the word. It went all south. And that's going to happen again. It's time to make that decision that it's done. You take the hit financially for his own sake, go somewhere else and start fresh again. Leave all this behind. It is what it is. You need to learn from it. We need to learn from it, but we also need to move on. We need to be that club, and say, okay, it's not working out, even if it's financially quote unquote better to keep him rather than spend the money. We're going to need to spend the money because financially it might be looking good, but on the pitch, it's not going to help us. It's going to hold us back. It's going to hold his career back. Nobody is winning. It becomes toxic. It becomes more of a bigger issue because now you have a player who's not performing on a long-term contract. Like, it will get messy. It really will get messy, because the proof is out there that it's not going to go improving. It's out there. The sample size, excuse me, is big enough. And I know the follow up will be, oh, but who are we replacing for? We have no choice than to spend. We have no choice than to spend. Even if the club is like, we need to spend 50 million on Retigi, we cannot stick with Vlahovic. You need to find a different solution. My preferred option out of all the names out there is Osimhen. But that is a personal preferences. Because from out of Gyökeres, Sesko, and Retigi, and Osimhen, I believe, personally, that's my opinion, Osimhen is the better player, the best player. And he played in the Serie A, and he's proven it in the Serie A, so I'm more at ease, if that makes sense. Now, I watched him in the Belgian league, so maybe I'm more biased, because I've watched him, quote unquote, since day one, even though it's not really since day one, but you know what I mean. So I might be biased with that when it comes to Osimhen, but he's my preferred option. Either way, you're gonna need to do something. You cannot stick with Vlahovic. For everyone's sake, you need to move on. This cannot be the case where we renew his contract, even on 8 million euros. It cannot be the case. Obviously, if we do that, I'm gonna hope that he somehow snaps out of this bad form and he starts bagging goals again and can hold up play and doesn't trip over the ball and whatever. It's a very long way back from that at this club. It's always going to hunt us. One bad moment and it's like, oh my God, here we go again. So it's time to move on. You guys, let me know in the comments. Will you renew him if he lowers his wage? Because we cannot fetch a high fee for him and we cannot pay the other options out there. What will you do? Will you consider it? Or are you like, no, bite the bullet and spend the money because we have no other choice at this moment in time? Let me know in the comments. Like the video and I'll speak to you guys soon. Ciao.